Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dezey here to bring you another hero spotlight. Now, are you good at timing, geometry, and really quick thinking? Well, if you are, then Skye is the hero for you. She's all about angles, perpendiculars, and plenty of outplays. So without much further ado, let's get started.
Skye's heroic perk is Target Lock. A cursor will appear on the last enemy she used a basic attack on. Skye will lock on and reveal the target for up to 3 seconds. It can be refreshed by basic attacks or abilities. While locked on, you also get a movement speed boost while using auto attacks or forward barrage. In this video, I lock onto the Lyra. I have no energy, but my consistent auto attacks allow me to pursue her until she dies. You can also use this perk to increase speed and dodge skill shots. Skye's A ability, Forward Barrage, is a stream of bullets that has a 10-meter range. I use it to not just damage enemies, but to zone them. If you are up against melee heroes that lack gap closers, the A ability will outright counter them. Here I'm up against a Reem and a Phin. They do not have the ability to gap close or damage me from far away. I easily get a nice double kill. To master Forward Barrage, you need to predict where the enemy is going. My team is chasing the Catherine. The only route we have given her is back to her turrets. I aim ahead of her and she walks right into me. In this video, if I were the Reem, I'd run into the bushes to get out of Ringo's sight. But since I'm Skye, I'm going to shoot into the bushes and strafe right into him until he dies. When using Forward Barrage, be patient. If you have allies that have displacement abilities, wait until they use them so that they don't force them out of your stream. If your allies have stuns or slows, wait until they use them to ensure a max duration Forward Barrage. The angle that you choose for Forward Barrage is very important. If you fire at them directly, they're always going to have 2 points of escape. If you have an optimal angle, they'll only have 1 and it will be very easy to predict. I will always max Forward Barrage first and take its overdrive. Skye's B ability, Suri Strike, makes her incredibly mobile. You must have a target that is locked on to be able to activate this ability. Skye will then fly over to the location anywhere within 4.5 meters of the target. Suri Strike does cause damage, but the ability is slow and very easy to dodge. I wait until the target is stunned or stationary to use it for damage. Suri Strike is a wonderful repositioning tool to aid in getting the best angles with Forward Barrage. It also reduces the cooldown of the Forward Barrage. Keep that in mind while dueling with enemies. Each rank you place into Suri Strike will increase that cooldown further. Use Suri Strike to cut off the enemy's path so that they have nowhere else to go but to the grave. Suri Strike is a great ability to dodge skill shots. You need to remember the enemy tells on their abilities so that you can dodge them with ease. In this team fight, I am locked on to the Jewel. I need to be aware of Reem's and Jewel's ult. When Jewel ults, I Suri Strike behind her and give her a barrage in the face. In this clip, I know Reem still has his Valkyrie available. Once I see the animation, I Suri Strike in front of him to dodge and kill him. If you can target a minion or an enemy hero, you can use Suri Strike to jump over the walls. This is very useful for chasing or running away from enemies. How far you level Suri Strike is dependent on the enemy team composition. If the enemy team is slippery or mainly marksman, I will max the ult for the extended lock-on range. If the enemy has a strong dive composition or a double melee comp, I will take Suri Strike for its overdrive for the low cooldown and the full 100% refresh on the Forward Barrage. I also like the extended lock-on duration that Suri Strike gives you. Death from Above fires a volley of missiles at the opponents. We all know that ulting the target sends a cluster of missiles right on the enemy. but ulting away from the target sends missiles on a line away from the target. To better understand the pathing of the ultimate, draw an imaginary line from the target to the point where you want to put it. The ultimate is always going to be a line perpendicular to that imaginary line that you drew. Because death from above is very slow, I like to use it as a zoning tool to block off the enemy's escape routes. It's best to use terrain and turrets to land successful ultimates. Not only can death from above block routes, but you can force the enemy into predictable movements so that you can track them with forward barrage much easier. A great tip in using death from above is to catch out unsuspecting enemies with the line pathing of your ultimate. There is going to be a priority target that you will want to stun. Target an adjacent minion, turret, or enemy, and use them to place an ult in the priority target's path. In this fight, I have my target lock on the roam lance. I give the enemy carries a false sense of security. Once I see the gap between Lance and his allies, I use my ultimate between them. My intention was to at least split the enemy team, but because they backed into my ultimate, I was able to get a double stun. Another helpful tip for death from above, you can use it while your forward barrage is active. Now let's move on to the Crystal Power Skye build. As Jungle Skye, I will start with a Crystal Bit and Halcyon Potions. The first item I rush is going to be the Broken Myth. Because Skye has very low ability cooldowns, I can spam those in fight and easily build the 5 stacks. Those stacks will give me a 35% boost in all of my crystal abilities. Along the way, I'm going to get boots and a reflex block. And maybe an energy bullet if I have problems with energy management. I will then build an Eve of Harvest to help sustain throughout the game. Next for me would be the Frostburn. The slow helps land skill shots and it gives a considerable amount of crystal power. If no one on your team has built an Atlas Pauldron against a heavy auto attack opponent, you will have to bite the bullet and take one for the team. Otherwise, I will always recommend a Metal Jacket because your abilities should never let the enemy closer than 4 meters to even use the Atlas. This should be no problem. Boots should be upgraded to Halcyon Chargers, while the Reflex block turns into an Aegis. I will say this again, not all builds are static, and the order in which you build will be different depending on the game flow and the skill that you have. For example, if you are simply amazing at landing your skill shots, replace the Frostburn for the Shatterglass. And if you are steamrolling the game, you can even get the Shatterglass or the Frostburn before the Eve of Harvest. This next segment will focus on Skye's early aggression. Being one of the best duelists in the game, her early levels reflect that very well. Forward Barrage is a nightmare in the jungle, as there are no minions to block it. Suri Strike also allows massive movement and repositioning to easily secure kills. The target lock perk also reveals the enemy when they go through the bush. Make sure you are at least level 2 to invade. Suri Strike with its cooldown refresh on forward barrage is a must. Skye is the epitome of the Asian invasion. If you can catch out enemies while they are taking their camps, it is almost always an easy kill. During your invasions, it's always best to leave scout traps for vision, and if you end up taking all the enemy camps, make sure you ping your laner to be careful. Through experience, I know that when the jungler has nothing to farm, he will go and gank the lane. The pre-level 6 gank. Now ganking lane as Skye can be a little difficult because there are so many minions to block forward barrage. Here I come to the lane to aid my low health Kestrel. The Blackfeather retreats when he knows that he can't kill her. I begin my chase and I have Blackfeather right in front of me. If I forward barrage at this straight angle, Blackfeather can juke me moving up or down. Giving the enemy multiple escape paths makes it difficult to predict and follow, so I must remain patient. Once I get at an angle that can not only hit the enemy but also block his path, I fire away for the kill. The post level 6 gank. The good news is lane minions are not C blockers, but they do block Skye's A. I use my ult to create a barrier between Glaive and his turret. I Suri Strike all the way to the other side and fill the rest of the barrier with my forward barrage. And now for the final segment, team fights. Here are some of Skye's priorities. 1. Positioning. Not only do you have to worry about getting collapsed on by the enemies, but you also need to be aware of the angles you can use to shoot forward barrage. 2. Zone control. Skye's low cooldown abilities allow great zone control throughout the game. Death from above and forward barrage can alter the flow of battle and manipulate the enemy's movements. 3. Focus, 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 but not on the tanks. The faster you focus down the carries as a team, the better your chances of winning the team fight and the game. Stay together and don't chase. Lastly, number 4, peel. If your allies are being focused, use your kit to slow, stun, and damage the incoming enemies to protect your allies. At level 12, Skye's combo with Suri Strike and forward barrage can reach up to 24 meters. In this fight, I try my best to help the Jewel as she takes on a 1v3 without the team. I put down a cluster ult to catch the group Vox and Phin. He then ults me, and then I use my Suri Strike to readjust and stay away from them. The remaining heroes are very low. I'm going to hit the Phin first because his movement speed is so low. Forward barrage can easily kite him away. Next on my checklist, I'm going to bait Ringo's Hellfire Brew because I know I have my reflex block available. Once I am safe, I use forward barrage to push him closer to my turret. He gets the aggro, and I get the kill. Skye excels in jungle skirmishes. Well-placed barrages won't be blocked by pesky lane minions. The glaive quickly gives up and dies after diving our team alone. I then focus on the Lyra. Using Lance as my locked target, I cut the fleeing enemies off at the tri-push, only giving them one direction to run. An easy barrage, and I get the kill. Not only has the Saw been getting caught in lane, but he also gets caught in the jungle shot. My team is now at a disadvantage in a 2v3, but I position wisely and get full hits on my barrages. Once the enemies turn tail and run, I Suri Strike into them and finish them off. However, chasing a weak Jewel through the jungle has no guarantees, but the immobile Adagio is basically a free kill. Later on, I use the Saw as bait to get the glaive and Jewel to overextend and burn cooldowns. I block off their route at their base and easily get a kill on the Jewel. The glaive nearly escapes, but Lance stuns him on a wall, and I use Suri Strike to get the full damage on an immobile glaive. 2 kills, an enemy turret, and a dead Saw, that's a quadra worth play. All of Skye's abilities are high damage and very lethal to objectives. She can take them with ease. Her low cooldown on death from above makes it worthwhile to use on objectives. Sieging a turret is also a breeze for Skye. The long range on her forward barrage keeps her away from turret aggro. My buff minions and allies are ready to take down the turret, and the Vox overstays his defense. Death from above blocks his escape route and forces him to walk into Ringo's bullets. In this siege with the Kraken, my Jewel and Blackfeather are at the mercy of the ranged threat of Ringo and Vox. I am the only one who can combat them safely. I use Death from above to block the enemy from killing my Blackfeather, but my allies decide to re-engage and eventually die. The Ringo winds up his Hellfire Brew to finish off the Jewel. I Suri Strike away from her to avoid splash damage. It's a 2v1, but I can still siege the turret with the Kraken on my side. I get a target lock on Ringo and use Death from above. Not only do I block his path, I also damage the turret. I use an easy forward barrage and I get him out of the game. Thank you for watching my Blue Skye tutorial. The Phin Skin giveaway is still in effect, so be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Winners from the previous video will be in the description. If you are one of the winners, be sure to add your IGN into the comment section. I will send that right over to Super Evil Megacorp and you'll get your Phin Skin soon enough. Stay tuned for more. Until then, you can catch me at Twitch at the Dezey. I'll see you all on the Halcyon Fold.